It was a night like any other. I was lying in bed, exhausted after a long day at work but unable to fall asleep. Staring up at the dark ceiling of my bedroom, I listened to the familiar sounds of the old house creaking and settling around me. Just as my eyes began to grow heavy, a chill crept down my spine. Something felt off, but I couldn't quite place what it was. Shaking away the uneasy feeling, I rolled over and closed my eyes once more. That's when I heard it. A whisper so faint it was barely audible. My eyes shot open and I scanned the shadowy room. There was nothing there, yet the hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. "It's just your imagination," I muttered to myself. But the uneasy feeling in the pit of my stomach wouldn't go away. I glanced at the clock on my nightstand, 3:15 a.m. With a sigh, I sat up in bed, thinking maybe a quick trip to the kitchen for some water would help me relax. But the moment I stepped onto the cold hardwood floor, a paralyzing dread washed over me. I stood frozen, senses heightened, and that's when I saw it. A shadowy figure standing by the window, the streetlight outside creating an eerie silhouette. I couldn't make out any features, only a vague humanoid shape. But I could feel its presence, heavy and oppressive. Fear gripped me, rooting me to the spot. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I swore I heard a raspy voice whisper, "Come with me." I struggled against the paralyzing dread, willing myself to run, to hide, to do anything but stand there waiting for the shadow to approach. Summoning my last ounce of strength, I stumbled backward and fumbled for the door. Without warning, the shadow rushed toward me, a swirling vortex of darkness. I cried out and clutched the doorknob, throwing myself into the hallway just as a bone-chilling cold swept past me. Slamming the door shut behind me, I sank to the floor, breaths coming in panicked gasps. The shadow was gone, but I could still feel it, lurking somewhere close, waiting for me. I sat huddled in that hallway until dawn broke, afraid to move a muscle. When pale morning light finally crept in through the windows, I rose on shaky legs to inspect my room. Nothing seemed amiss in the calm of day. Had it just been a twisted nightmare? I wanted to believe that. But over the next few weeks, the encounters continued. Always around 3:15 a.m., always accompanied by that faint, raspy voice trying to lure me away into oblivion. Soon, I dreaded nightfall. I started drinking coffee at all hours, anything to stay awake after midnight. But eventually, exhaustion would take over and I'd succumb to sleep, and the shadow would be waiting. At first, I tried rationalizing the experiences away. Sleep paralysis or hallucinations brought on by insomnia could explain them, right? But there was something sentient, calculating even, about that lurking darkness. It knew my name, spoke directly to me. It wanted me for some sinister purpose I could scarcely imagine. Unable to take it anymore, I decided I had to leave, get as far away from this house and its malevolent occupant as possible. If I stayed, madness or worse waited. That very night, I packed a bag and drove out of town, aimlessly at first. As daylight broke, I found myself in an unfamiliar rural area. Impulsively, I exited the highway at the next town, eager to put more distance between me and the shadow. Checking into a motel, I collapsed onto the bed and quickly drifted off, feeling that at last I was free. At 3:15 a.m., my eyes flew open. I gasped, not from any dream, but from the bone-deep certainty that it had followed me. It was here. I leapt up, turned on all the lights, blasted the TV, but nothing could drown out that dark, insidious whisper. "You can't escape me." A cold, swirling wind rushed through the room, extinguishing the lights. I cried out in terror as the shadow emerged before me, closer than ever. "Please just leave me alone," I begged, tears streaming down my face. A low, sinister chuckle emanated from its wraith-like form. "You know I can't do that. You belong to me now." I screamed as its vaporous hands reached for me, shrouding me in icy darkness. The last thing I heard was that raspy voice, now crystal clear and victorious. "You're mine."